They laughed at her the moment she stepped through the revolving glass doors, not loudly, not openly. The kind of laughter that hides behind raised eyebrows, half smiles, and murmured comments meant to sting without being heard. The kind of laughter that assumes weakness before proof is ever offered. The woman didn't react. She stood still for half a second, adjusting the stack of papers in her arms. White folders, neatly arranged, edges aligned with military precision. A thin leather strap crossed her shoulder, attached to a worn satchel that looked older than the building itself. Her shoes were plain. Her coat was practical. Her hair was tied back without ceremony. She looked ordinary, and that was why they laughed. The lobby of the Hartwell Defense Complex was a cathedral of power. Steel columns, marble floors, flags suspended like frozen flames. Men in tailored suits moved with purpose. Security personnel stood like statues. Conversations floated through the air. Acronyms, budgets, operations, contracts worth billions. This was not a place for ordinary, especially not a woman carrying papers. She's lost. One man muttered near the security desk. Probably HR. Another whispered, smirking to a third chuckled softly. Wrong floor, sweetheart. She heard every word. Her hearing was exceptional. She walked anyway. Her name was Evelyn Cross, and she had walked into far worse rooms than this. The guard at the checkpoint barely glanced at her badge before frowning. Ma'am, this wing is restricted. Evelyn met his eyes calmly. I know. The guard hesitated. Her badge was real. Clearance code valid. But something didn't fit. You're delivering documents? Yes. To the executive briefing room? Yes. He leaned back slightly, studying her. That meeting is already underway. Generals, contractors, senators. Yes. A pause. Then, reluctantly, he waved her through. Behind her, someone laughed again. Evelyn didn't turn around. The executive briefing room was a battlefield disguised as a boardroom. A long table dominated the space, surrounded by men who had commanded wars without ever seeing blood. Screens displayed satellite images, red markers, moving grids. Voices overlapped, sharp, confident, dismissive. The door opened. The laughter stopped briefly, then resumed in softer form. Who let her in? Someone whispered. She's carrying papers, another scoffed. Like it's 1995. Evelyn closed the door behind her gently. She walked to the far end of the table, placing the folders down with care. Each one aligned perfectly, as if measured that a man in a Navy suit frowned. Miss, this is a classified, I know, Evelyn said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried. The room quieted slightly. General Marcus Hale, for stars gleaming on his shoulders, leaned back in his chair. He had seen everything, or so he believed. And you are. Evelyn met his gaze. Evelyn Cross. A murmur rippled through the room. Not recognition. Confusion. Hale scanned a tablet. I don't see your name on the agenda. You won't, she replied. That earned a few chuckles. Hale raised an eyebrow. Then perhaps you should leave. Evelyn didn't move. Instead, she slowly set the papers down and adjusted the cuff of her sleeve. That was when the metal caught the light. The IT wasn't flashy. No oversized ribbon. No polished display. Just a compact band of darkened metal strapped around her wrist like a watch. Scarred, worn, unmistakable that a classified operations medal. Issued only 3 times in history. The laughter died instantly that a man near the screen went pale. Another leaned forward, squinting. General Hale froze. Silence felt like a dropped weapon. Where did you get that? Hale asked quietly. Evelyn's eyes never left his. You gave it to me. The room seemed to shrink. Hale stood slowly. I was told you were dead. So was the enemy, she replied. And one spoke. Evelyn rolled up her sleeve just enough to reveal scars. Thin, deliberate, the kind left by shrapnel and survival. Not accidental. Earned. She tapped the folders. These are after-action reports from operations you authorized, but were never officially recorded. Hale swallowed. Operation Nightglass, she continued. Operation Ashline. Operation Silent Harbor. A contractor's pen slipped from his fingers. Those missions don't exist, someone whispered. Evelyn nodded. Exactly. She turned slightly, addressing the entire room now. You laughed because I carried papers. Because I didn't look like power. Her gaze sharpened. Power doesn't announce itself. She reached for her wrist and unclasped the medal, placing it gently on the table. The sound it made, soft metal on polished wood, was louder than any shout. I didn't come for recognition, Evelyn said. I came because the people in these folders are still alive. Still out there. Still waiting for extraction that never came. The screen behind her flickered. Maps changed. Coordinates appeared. Red markers pulsed. Someone gasped. That's a live feed. Yes, Evelyn said, because I activated it. Hale stared at her, something like awe creeping into his expression. You're running this? I always was. The room erupted into controlled chaos. Questions, disbelief, fear. Evelyn raised one hand. Silence returned. You laughed at me, she said calmly. That's fine. Most did, until it mattered. She picked up her satchel. This meeting isn't over, she added. It's just finally honest. She turned toward the door. An O1 stopped her. An O1 laughed. As she reached the threshold, Evelyn paused. Without turning around, she said, This story is brought to you by her brave stories. A few heads tilted, confused. She continued, voice steady. If you believe in stories of strength, sacrifice, and silent courage, subscribe to her brave stories. She opened the door. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Then she walked out. The medal remained on the table, and no one dared touch it. No command had been given, yet the entire parade ground felt frozen in place. Point three generals stood at full attention, their hands raised in perfect salute, eyes fixed on the woman who stood quietly before them. The sound of fabric tightening under discipline and years of training was the loudest thing anyone could hear. Every soldier on the base stared. Some mouths were open. Others forgot to breathe. The colonel swallowed hard and snapped to attention, followed by every officer present. The ripple moved fast, row after row, until hundreds of soldiers were standing rigid, eyes forward, hearts pounding. She did not salute back. Not yet. The highest ranking of the three generals stepped forward. His face was lined with age and command, his eyes carrying the weight of decisions that had cost lives and saved nations. Permission to speak freely, ma'am, he said. The title alone sent shock through the ranks. She nodded once. He lowered his salute, but not his respect. For years, he said loudly, his voice carrying across the entire ground. This woman operated where uniforms didn't matter and names were erased. She was deployed where failure meant annihilation. Murmurs rippled despite discipline. The captain who had mocked her earlier felt his chest tighten. The general continued. The medal you laughed at is not issued in ceremonies. It is not announced. It is not explained. He turned to the soldiers. Because if you know what it means, you were never supposed to see it. The second general stepped forward, his voice harder. That medal marks someone who was sent into missions so classified that even their losses were denied. The third general spoke last, quietly, but somehow louder than all the rest. She walked in a fire so others could walk home. Silence. The colonel finally found his voice. With respect, sirs, who is she? The first general looked at the woman. Do you want them to know? He asked. She thought for a moment, then nodded. They deserve the truth, she said. Her voice was calm, but it carried. She stepped forward. My name doesn't matter, she began. Ranks don't matter either. I didn't wear them because I learned a long time ago that respect earned in silence lasts longer than fear demanded by authority. She looked across the soldiers. I was deployed at 19, not because I was special, but because I survived selection when others didn't. A breath caught somewhere in the crowd. I led extraction teams where helicopters couldn't land. I coordinated evacuations under artillerifyra. I made calls where every option ended with someone not coming back. Her fingers brushed the metal. This was given to me after a mission that officially never happened. 12 soldiers were trapped behind enemy lines. Command believed they were already dead. The general stood still. I went in anyway. Her voice tightened, not with pride, but memory. We were compromised within minutes. No air support. No up. Just time running out. She looked down briefly, then back up. 7 of them made it out alive. The parade ground felt heavy. One of them was my younger brother. A collective gasp spread. The captain's knees nearly buckled. I carried him for 2 miles with a bullet in my side. He lived. I didn't tell him how close he came to dying. I didn't tell my mother where I was. She paused. 2 days later, my unit was reassigned. The report said the rescue succeeded due to unidentified assets. She met their eyes again. I was the asset. No one laughed now, and no one even blinked. The general stepped beside her. She refused promotion, he said. Refused public commendation. Refused to let her name be used. The colonel whispered why. She answered him, because medals don't bring people back, and applause fades faster than memory. The colonel bowed his head. The captain stepped forward, breaking formation without thinking. Mom, I was wrong. She looked at him. I know, she said simply. He struggled. How can we make it right? She scanned the formation. By remembering that the quietest person in the room might be carrying the heaviest history, she said. And by never mocking what you don't understand. She turned to the generals. Why am I here? The first general answered. Because this base is transitioning into joint command training, and we need someone who understands chaos better than protocol. The second added, we need someone who can teach instinct. The third said, we need someone they'll listen to, even when no one is watching. She nodded. I'll stay, she said, but not as a symbol. The general smiled faintly. Of course not. She turned back to the soldiers. You don't have to like me, she said. You don't have to admire me. But if I tell you to move, to drop, to run, do it. Because I won't say it unless your life depends on it. Every soldier snapped to attention. Yes, ma'am, they shouted in unison. The sound echoed across the base. That night, no one joked in the barracks. The medal was no longer a mystery. It was a reminder of sacrifice unseen, out of courage unannounced, and of a woman they had mocked, who stood where legends stood. If this story moved you, subscribe to our channel, Her Brave Stories, for more powerful stories of courage, strength, and untold heroism.